The portion of Teruma begins with the words, V'yichu li Teruma. And God commands us, please, take for me Teruma. Now the words V'yichu li literally mean, take me. Take me. God is asking us to take God. Now, it should have said, give charity, give Teruma to build the sanctuary in the desert. Why v'yichu li, take me? The Medrash says that God says, take me. I gave you the Torah, but I am inseparable from the Torah. I cannot let my Torah go. I just gave you the Torah on Sinai, in the portion of Yisro. I just taught you all the laws of Torah and Mishpatim, and now I want to give it to you, but I can't. I cannot separate myself from my love of the Torah. And therefore, if you take the Torah, you have to take me together with the Torah. And the Medrash goes on to say, when have you ever seen a storekeeper sell an object, and now you have to buy the storekeeper together with the object? So here, we are, so to speak, buying the Torah, but yet we are buying the owner together with the Torah. The Medrash goes on to say, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, Meirasha kehilas Yaakov. The Torah that Moses commanded us, this Torah, this holy Torah, is an inheritance to every Jewish person, to the kehilas Yaakov, the congregation of Jacob, which means every single Jewish person, man, woman, or child, from the day you are born, you inherit the entire Torah. You are rich. You are rich. You now have the most wealthiest, priceless treasure in the world, and that is the Torah. 1 day old, already you acquire the entire inheritance. Regardless if you could read the Aleph Beis, regardless if you ever opened the Torah, or you know what it says in the Torah, it makes no difference. The fact is, every single one of us inherited the entire Torah, and now it's time to open it up and to see what it says inside. Says the Medrash, Meirasha, this is an inheritance. Do not read Meirasha, but rather read Me'urasa, which means betrothed. Edison. This Torah is what betrothed the Jewish people to Almighty God. And then it gives an example. When you become engaged to a woman, the woman is now in the home with her father and mother. The chassin, the groom, he wants to visit her. He has to go to the house of the in-laws to see his future bride. But once you marry the woman, you marry your bride, you marry your kala, the kala and you move into a new house. Now your in-laws have to come to you to visit you if they want to see the bride. And the Medrash says this is the same with the Jewish people. Moses represents the Jewish people, and he went onto the mountain to get the Torah. He went onto the mountain to go to the house of God, to see the bride, to see the Torah. But once we acquire the Torah, and we have the Torah, God, our in-laws, has to come to us if he wants to see the Torah. And that is the meaning of this week's parsha. God says, V'asu li migdosh. Make for me a sanctuary. Make for me a home so I can come visit you. Because you took the Torah away from me, now I want to come to see you learning my Torah. And not only is this true in the desert, not only is this true in Jerusalem, the holy mountain which was given to the Jewish people for all eternity, but this is true in every community. When we build a synagogue, when we build a house of God, God comes to the children. God, the in-laws, come to visit the wife and the son-in-law. So that is the meaning of V'yichu li Teruma. God says, take me together with the Torah. Similarly, the Zohar says, if you want to connect with God, if you want to become one with God, there's only one way to do this, and that is through studying Torah. For God empowered and God invested his entire essence into the Torah, which, by the way, is the meaning of the first word of the Ten Commandments, Anochi. What does Anochi mean? I'm God your Lord. Anochi, says the Gemara, is an acronym, Ana Nafshi Kasavis Yahavis. My essence, did I write into this Torah. So says the Zohar, V'yichuli, if you want to take me, says God, Terumah. Do Terumah. What is Terumah? Terumah is Torah Mem. Torah that was given in 40 days. The letter Mem equals 40. It's true God came down on Sinai and said the Ten Commandments, but after that Moses went up for 40 days and 40 nights to learn the Torah. Over those 40 days, the Torah was translated and explained and elaborated, and now it became our Torah, fit for human consumption. It was transformed from heaven and now brought down to earth. So on one hand, the portion of Terumah talks about a very physical temple, a sanctuary to build in the desert. Yet, on the other hand, on a metaphysical level, it's all about the Torah. So in other words, when we completed the temple, when we built the temple, we fulfilled the purpose of Matan Torah. We fulfilled the purpose of the giving of the Torah. Because the giving of the Torah was God came down on Sinai. But then he went up. For God to stay with us all the time, we need to build God a home. Furthermore, philosophically, what happened at Sinai was God appeared to us. And he overwhelmed us. He dazzled us. He put a mountain over our heads and he said, I love you. And he basically loved us so much that we had no choice but to love him back. But it wasn't intellectual. It was totally emotional. We were infatuated with God. But is this a normal relationship? God theoretically overwhelmed us with flowers and with love and with diamonds. And he took us out of bondage. He took us away from our father's home, our parents' home. He freed us. And now he took us into his own home. But did we really think it through? Did we really internalize it? It's like, I took you out of slavery, so you have to marry me. No, you took me out of slavery, but who says I like you? It took us 1,000 years to really, as they say in Yiddish, chap sum seichel, to really understand how lucky we were. But this all started already at the beginning of the Mishkan. But the fact that we built the Mishkan after God gave us the Torah and Sinai, we now created this dwelling place for God, and now we begin to internalize this Torah that God gave us from above. Now we begin to internalize this from below. It becomes our Torah. We want the Torah. We need the Torah. We cannot survive without the Torah. And that happened by the building of the temple. We prepared a place for God to dwell. And this, by the way, is also the meaning of the month of Adar. We're now in the month of Adar. The portion of Terumah is always read in the month of Adar. What does Adar mean? Aleph, Dar. Aleph, the letter Aleph, Dar means to dwell. What is Aleph? Aleph is Alufoi Shaloilam, the master of the universe. The master of the universe dwells in this month. Why? Because we create a dwelling place for God. We create a home for God. We create a Mishkan for God. So, we read now the portion of Terumah. It has two basic meanings. One the physical, one the metaphysical. On one hand, Terumah represents the physical building of a temple. And for that, it's required zahav, v'chesef, or nechoishes, as the Torah says, we have to bring gold and silver and bronze. And really there are 13 or 15 different items that were required for the building of the temple. On the other hand, it's a very spiritual connection. And that is, v'yichuli, God says, take me. Take me together with the Torah. Learn the Torah. Internalize the Torah. These two concepts, which go hand in hand, are really the same two concepts that we celebrate in this month of Adar, which is the month of Purim. This year there's a double Adar. There's a small Purim, a big Purim, but yet we celebrate the holiday of Purim already from the first day of Adar. Because it says when Adar arrives, Mishenichnas Adar, Marbim b'simcha, we increase with joy. Why do you increase in joy? Because it's the month, Shenes Hapachu, that was totally transformed. What was transformed? The heart of Achashverosh was transformed. On one hand, he tells Haman, go kill the Jews, no problem. Then later, the same guy who said, kill out the Jews, says, no, we have to save the Jews. He transformed from bad to good. And the entire month is now a month of V'nishapechu, V'nahapechu. We transformed all the negative in this month to positive. So therefore, on one hand, we have the physical transformation, which is really the embodiment of the Mishkan. What is the Mishkan? You're taking physical items, you're taking gold, you're taking silver, you're taking bronze, which is very materialistic, and sometimes even hedonistic, and you take these metals, these items, and now you use it for the holiest thing in the world. You transform it from physical to spiritual, from negative to positive. There's a beautiful medrash that says, when God told Moses to build the Mishkan with gold, the angels turned to God and say, God, for 26 generations, the world has exploited gold. They've used gold for idolatry, for selfish, narcissistic reasons. And now you want to use that gold to build your temple? And God says, I created gold for one purpose, to build my temple. The fact that 26 generations, these narcissistic fools use it for the wrong reason doesn't change my plan, doesn't change my goal. And that is, I created gold to build the holy sanctuary. So, on one hand, it's taking the physical, making it spiritual, like the heart of Achashverosh that was transformed from negative to positive. But then there's the spiritual aspect, and that's the Torah. Teruma means Torah mem. Most people, when you think about Purim, they think about getting dressed up, they think about getting drunk, but there's a very spiritual aspect to Purim. And what is that? We began to touch on this earlier. When God gave us the Torah on Sinai, God overwhelmed us with love. He put the mountain over our head. And he said, if you accept the Torah, good. If not, boom, you finished. And we had no choice. We accepted the Torah. Says the Talmud, for 1,000 years, the Jewish people had a very powerful excuse. God, we never asked for this. We never wanted it. You coerced us into it. You can't expect us to follow the Torah. Came the holiday of Purim and says, Kimu v'kibul HaYehudim. In the Megillah it says, what did they do? The Jewish people said, we now accept upon the entire Torah. And we are going to fulfill the entire Torah. And this was really the paradigm shift. This was the tipping point that brought about the ultimate geula, the ultimate redemption, when the Jewish people reaffirmed their commitment to the Torah. And similarly, today, we find October 7th, a terrible massacre, a terrible piece, a dark, dark piece in Jewish history, a Holocaust in our generation. Yet, the outcome needs to be the resurrection of Jewish life, a transformation, a return to Almighty God. So, the holiday of Purim is a time that we internalize the Torah on a very personal, individual level. Each person said, we want to get closer to God. We want to become more observant. We want to become more knowledgeable. We want to study the Torah. And because of this, the miracle of Purim came about. And because of this, after the miracle of Purim, there continued to be a tremendous, passionate return and observance to Yiddishkeit. We said a moment ago that the word Terumah means Torah Mem, the Torah that was given in 40 days. The letter Mem stands for the word Mitzvah, which means commandments, observance of commandments. The letter Mem is also associated with all the mitzvot that are performed on the holiday of Purim, which ends with the letter Mem. What are the 4 mitzvahs of Purim? Number 1, Mikra Megillah, the reading of the Megillah, twice, once in the evening, once in the morning, which again is synonymous with accepting the Torah upon yourself. Then you have the mitzvah of Mishloyach Monos, to send 2 ready-to-eat gifts, foods to your neighbor, again the letter Mem. Then Matonos Lev Yoinim, gifts to the poor, again the letter Mem. And then Mishteh V'Simcha, to rejoice with feasting, and Mashke, which is the letter Mem. Excellent. So all the mitzvahs on Purim are all connected with the letter Mem, because Mem is also associated with redemption, Geula. On one hand, the Mem represents the Torah, which was given in 40 days, but also the Mem, the closed Mem, represents the time when God will bring closure to all pain and suffering and hardship, a time that we will begin to understand why we had to go through this terrible exile, and a time that we will see how the world will come to ultimate peace. So this brings us to the final idea, and that is the Medrash in Mishlei chapter 9, verse number 2, and similarly the Rambam at the end of the laws of Megillah say that all the holidays will be nullified when Mashiach comes, besides the holiday of Purim. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach. Now what does that mean? Does it mean literally it's going to be nullified? So the explanation which is given in the Chassidus is it's not literally going to be nullified. But a candle compared to the sun is really incomparable. In other words, Mashiach is going to come. Every day we're going to see the revelation of God. Every day there's going to be more joy and more pleasure and more happiness and more revelations and more wisdom that's going to be infused into the world. So compared to the revelations of these holidays, it's going to be secondary. So in other words, Pesach will come, we're going to eat matzah. Shavuos is going to come, we're going to have cheesecake, good cheesecake, and you won't gain weight. That's going to be the miracle. And then Rosh Hashanah is going to come and going to blow the shofar. It's questionable whether or not we have to fast on Yom Kippur after Mashiach comes. The first year not, the second year we'll see. But the point is, it's going to be nullified compared to the great revelation of every day after the coming of Mashiach. However, Purim is different. Why? Because really Purim is synonymous with Mashiach. Purim represents a taste of how the world will be after Mashiach comes. We spoke about this, and we touched upon this past Shabbos. There's a major difference between Purim and Pesach. Pesach, on one hand, had tremendous miracles. revelations of God. You saw the hand of God. Uvenei Yisrael Yetzim b'yad Rama. They went out with an exalted hand. We saw the hand of God. There were miracles, 10 plagues, splitting of the Red Sea. But God totally decimated Egypt. It was gone. It was finished. The entire army went into the Red Sea and they never came out. That's not the ultimate redemption. The ultimate redemption is the entire world will begin to see the beauty and the value of Torah, of godliness, of spirituality, of Jews. And the world will be transformed like the heart of Achashverosh, that one day he said, kill out all the Jews, and the next day he said, spare all the Jews. And not only that, away with Haman, hang Haman, and make Mordechai the viceroy. Mashiach will come, the entire world will be transformed. There'll be no reason for war. There'll be no reason to destroy Gaza and other cities. On the contrary, everyone in the world will begin to understand the importance of God, Torah, Yiddishkeit, and there will be many, many conversions to Judaism. But we're not looking for converts. Noachides, just Noachides, to follow the 7 Noachide laws, to be good people, to be charitable, to pray, to study the knowledge of God. And this we see now already, this past week, when the president of Argentina, who's not Jewish, came to Israel, came to the Kotel, kissed the wall, and was crying and praying that his citizens be returned. And on that day, news came forth that 2 hostages were saved and rescued, and those 2 hostages were from Argentina.
Are you serious? Yes, I can't believe it.
This is V'nis Hapachu. Already now we see the miracle of Purim. We're in the month of Adar, and we see the miracle of transformation. Now there's another part of the story that most of you don't know. There's another part of the story, and that is in Florida. The children of one of these hostages came just to bring awareness to Jews in Florida. And at the end of their talk, Rebbe Lipsker walked over to the children of the daughter and the son-in-law of one of the hostages and said, what are you going to do now to change your life so God should make a miracle in your life? I don't know. She said, I'll tell you what you're going to do. Do you light Shabbos candles? She said, no. Well, you're going to start lighting Shabbos candles. Okay, yes, I'm going to start lighting Shabbos candles. And then she turned to her husband. I said, what do? You put on tefillin? No. You are going to start putting on tefillin. You'll come to my husband's office. We're going to give you a pair of tefillin. And everybody clapped. Yes, he's going to put on tefillin every day. And then the daughter said to Mrs. Lipsker, can you give me a spare pair of tefillin? Another pair of tefillin? And she said, why? Why do you need another pair of tefillin? Because when my father comes back and he's rescued, I want him to begin to put on tefillin. And Baruch Hashem, we see already the miracles of Purim, and that is why when Mashiach will come, the holiday of Purim will continue, because this is the meaning of Mashiach. This is the meaning of true transformation. We hope and pray by adding to Torah and Mitzvahs, and by having positive thoughts, and by being more joyous every single day in the month of Adar, we will see the ultimate joy, the Kami of Mashiach, Mheira B'Yimeinu. Amen.